Mr. Hamilton, I don't want you to feel left out of this conversation. So I'm going to make sure I ask you some questions. Let me know if you're having problems answering them, because they really should be yes or no. Let's see. You're the executive director for the America First Legal, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And America First Legal is a member of Project 2025, which is dedicated to creating the playbook for the next conservative administration and what it calls the Project Pillars, correct?
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay. And are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny, and Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in.
Young lady from Texas, recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. This is so interesting. A couple of things. I'm just curious to know, as we're talking about lawyers and the obligations of lawyers, and whether or not maybe the former president has any idea of what good lawyer obligations look like. I'm just gonna ask, we're not gonna play, we're gonna do Ms. Winebanks. Have you heard of any of these lawyers? I've got Robert Shealy, Kenneth Chesborough, Jeffrey Clark, Matthew DePerno, John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, Michael Farino, Rudy Giuliani, Julia Halia. I got a long list. Have you heard of any of these people?
I have.
Are you aware as to whether or not any of them have faced criminal penalties?
Yes, and also been disbarred or suspended.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they've had some issues, but these are the hand-picked lawyers for Trump. I'm assuming that y'all have never been Trump lawyers, Mr. Trusty or Mr. Costello.
No, I was for a year.
Oh, you were, and you still have your bar card?
I'm sorry?
You still have your bar card?
Yeah, well,
You-
unless I get targeted for daring to represent a
listen,
former president.
You have absolutely done a lot better than most that deal with him. So good for you. I also want to make sure that we talk about what two-tier really looks like. And Mr. Trustee, since you've been a prosecutor before, I'm curious to know, have you ever had a criminal defendant that had over 80 counts in 4 different jurisdictions and somehow was not held pretrial? I know that you talked in your opening about your interpretation of what speedy trial looks like, and it's really only for those that are held pretrial. And last time I checked, most of the time those people held pretrial, they don't have anywhere near 80 counts pending against them. But I'm curious to know, in your experience, have you ever had someone that had over 80 counts pending in 4 different jurisdictions and they were not held pretrial? Yes or no?
Well, no specific recall,
Okay, all
but
right.
I could answer
That's all
more if you'll let me.
You told me no, and I understand because I hadn't either. So, in addition to that, there's been a gag order, since we're going to talk about the pending trial that's going on right now. Have you ever had a defendant that violated a gag order and then you went to the judge and the judge didn't lock them up, and they done it at least 10 times. I think it's 10. I'm losing count right now. Have you ever had somebody violate?
In 35 years, I had never seen a defendant gagged.
Okay, not my question. So you've never.
Well, it's
had
hard
it.
to get to the second
you've
part if they're never
you've
gagged.
never had it. You're absolutely right. All right. So finally, when it comes down to intimidating witnesses, because maybe you haven't had gag orders. Intimidating witnesses. Have you ever had a defendant that you were prosecuting and they were intimidating witnesses and they didn't somehow end up in the clank for at least a day or two?
I've had criminal death penalty prosecutions based on witness retaliation. I'm very familiar with gang cases and mafia cases. Most of those defendants were already incarcerated when they would orchestrate some sort of obstruction.
Okay,
If
so
there's
they-
provable physical violence-based obstruction, it certainly makes sense that they'd be incarcerated.
I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny, and Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in. And I know that you are doing your jobs here by making sure that hopefully some juror turns on and finds some viral moment of you spewing more of the nonsense as it relates to the president. But as practicing lawyers or licensed attorneys, I hope that we can all agree that no one gets indicted because someone says so. There takes a grand jury, and the grand jury is comprised of American citizens that sit down and review evidence, and they make the determination. And when and if Trump is convicted, it will be a jury of his peers, and it won't be the President of the United States.
I thought you were going to get to a question somewhere in that 90 seconds for Mr. Hamilton after you went after his 2025. I will point out the Inspector General just released a report that said the FBI retaliated against whistleblowers. One of the reasons we do need some changes, but there was no question there. But Mr. Hamilton, if you want to give it some kind of response, you're more than welcome to do that.
Mr. Chairman, my only response would be to say that there are a great number of policy options that have been provided to any future conservative administration through Project 2025, and it's an attempt to restore the rule of law in this country. And I reject the Huffington Post-style characterizations of the recommendations.
All right. A gentlelady yields back. The
And
gentlelady
Mr. Chair-
from, we'll go to the gentlelady from Wyoming, then the gentleman from Florida.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask
Thank you.
unanimous consent.
Excuse me, this is, oh,
I'll get you as soon as we go after this day. Just
Okay.
unanimous consent? Are you
Yes,
gonna-
just unanimous consent to enter the mandate for leadership.
Without objection. Without objection. The
Thank-
gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized.
well,